to see you all here today. It's a wonderful morning. It's a beautiful morning. And it's a morning when we are reminded that we are in the right and perfect place here at Unity of Charlotte. Because as the world sends us interesting challenges, such as things that are related to COVID, we are beautifully positioned and balanced because we do know the truth and we get to practice it. And that knowing and practicing is part of what we do every day in our spiritual alignment. So let us start after our warm welcome to tell you and remind you what our mission is here at Unity, to nurture a deep and mature experience of God through the practice of Unity principles. And simply put, we are here to love, grow, and serve. And I often find that we serve and find that we are growing. So I'm Reverend Pat Dre, and I'm so glad that you're here with us. It's a beautiful group this morning of smiling faces. And you all looked at the thermometer this morning and said, I'm getting out early. Isn't that wonderful? All right. We're going to share our statement of oneness, and you'll join with me in saying this. And that will lead us into our opening prayer. So say with me, there is one presence and one power in my life, the universe, God, good omnipotence. And we are now going to do our prayer that will bring us the right and perfect minister. And here is that affirmation, and join with me in saying, together we affirm that we are calling in and are ready to receive another wonderful minister who is heart-centered, wise, sincere, humorous, and collaborative, and who openly walks a spiritual path of love, growth, and service. And so it is. And we know that our prayers and our words have power, and they especially have power when our emotions are in a positive, high place. So as you look at that affirmation, and as you think about it, place your heart and mind in a happy, anticipatory state. The emotions plus the words bring results. And that leads us into our unity principles, where we know that thoughts are very important and our prayers are very important. Today, our prayer is radiance, August 1st, 2021. So take a deep breath and relax, and know with me this prayer and word of the day. Radiance. The Christ presence within is my radiant source of good. On a clear day when a stray cloud passes across the sun, I notice the suddenly diminishing light. Then looking up, I see the brilliant rays of sunshine surrounding the cloud. And instead of hiding the sun, the cloud helps me to see and appreciate the sun's radiance. As the sun lights the earth and is the source of its energy, the Christ, the divine presence within me, is my light and the source of everything that I need in order to live brilliantly and joyfully. When, like a passing cloud, an obstacle or challenge along my path may seem to dim my Christ light, I respond by looking up, by raising my point of view. I am reassured and strengthened, knowing that the divine radiance is shining as brightly as ever. No cloud can dim the divine light in me. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness did not overcome it. John 1:5. Thank you again for being with us this morning. Those of you that are here in the sanctuary, those of you joining us on Zoom, and those from YouTube. And we are delighted to have you all participating with us. And if you or anyone you know is in need of prayer, place a prayer request through our website. It is our joy to pray for your intentions, for your good, for your goals, for the manifestation of the life you deserve. You can also dial Silent Unity anytime, night or day, just dialing 800 Now Pray for a personal affirmative prayer. And to talk a little bit about our ongoing meetings for the rest of the summer, we have and they're up because our faithful administrative director pulls everything together in a moment's notice for us. And so we've got the visual there for the book club. Thank you. Just reading the book club, which is on August 15th. And that meets right after service at 11 a.m. We have the affirmative prayer and meditation group that meets on Tuesday evenings at 7:15. Join us for a sublime meditation. And then on Wednesdays, we have dialogue as service from 1 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. We are reading a marvelous book, and it is the Path of Intention. And the path of initiation. I had an intention to have a path of initiation there. The Course in Miracles is on Wednesdays from 9:30 via Zoom. And the men's group meets on Wednesdays, the 2nd and 4th from 9:30 to 11. So those are our ongoing meetings. And now it is my pleasure to invite our guest speaker, and beloved presenter, Reverend Rebecca Nagy, who is a fabulous presenter, an inspiration, and an amazing New Thought teacher. So we are delighted to have you, Rebecca Nagy. You are always welcome here, and you always lift us up. So thank you.
Somebody lift me up now.
Yes.
Hi.
Thank you.
Okay. Got a new gadget to get used to today. Okay. So I can unmask now. Hello, everybody. So, where's my glasses here? All right. Good morning, everyone. It's so great to be here again. Thank you for having me back. And so I heard about this kindergarten teacher. She was, can you hear me now? All right. She was walking around her classroom as her students drew pictures. She noticed this one little girl drawing so intently, she asked her what she was drawing. And the little girl said to her she was drawing a picture of God. The teacher kind of laughed. And she said, "Oh, honey, nobody really knows what God looks like." And the little girl, without missing a beat, said, "Well, they will in a minute." And, oops, I guess I have to advance this. Let me see. Am I going to go in the middle? Ha! There we are. Now, I chose, just leave it there. I chose this particular picture of me after I officiated a wedding. And it was because, they always throw the bouquet. Well, I caught a flower. So I thought, yay, I caught a flower. What does that mean? Absolutely nothing. But I also love this picture of one of my heroes, or should I say heroines. You know who this is, right? Who is this picture of? Mother Teresa. Years ago, when I was still in seminary, I watched a documentary about how she was told she was not good enough to continue her studies as a nun. Yeah, she was too imperfect. The spirituality of imperfection is what I'm going to talk about today, because the inspiring stories of all those who have said, you can't and did should be where we're at all the time. I was told many years ago after I had an accident and several surgeries that I would never walk again. Now, this particular thing that I'm using called a cane today is not from that. I just had a hip replacement. I think I shared with you last time I was here, getting old ain't for sissies. So, but I'm walking. It's that's just a little bit extra support as I'm recovering. My body is recovering. It's spirituality of the imperfection it has graced me with. Has anyone ever thought about the struggles in their life, the challenges that come to you as grace moments? Periods of grace. We in New Thought know this, right? Sometimes we don't recognize it though. Sometimes we kind of want to do a little bit of, wine and I always say to my best friend when she gets to that point, I said, would you like a little bit of cheese with that wine? And she knows it's time to stop. Or she'll say the same thing to me. She said, would you like a little? And she's in Canada now, married to a wonderful guy. But one of the things that I really love to look at is the idea that we're striving to be perfect or living up to someone else's expectations. And I am the perfect one for this. I am always looking for approval. I know I'm the only one in this room that needs approval, right? And right now I'm going through a situation, moving my dear, dear mother into a memory care facility and working with my dear, dear sister-in-law and brother and several other people. And I swear to God, I'm so glad I had to take my shoes off to come in because I think there are eggshells on the heels, on the soles of my shoes. Because this is, whenever we go through big challenges, and I always was looking for my mama's approval. My mama doesn't really know who I am sometimes now. And so I'm learning that we look beyond the physical. We look beyond even the mental or the emotional, and have to always live in our hearts. Because as this says, being happy doesn't mean everything's perfect. It means you've decided to look beyond the imperfections. And so one of the things about owning our stories, and this is according to one of my favorites, and I would tell you that this particular author named Brené Brown saved my life many years ago as I was struggling as a leader, a spiritual leader of a congregation, and feeling less than perfect and feeling that I needed to please everyone. Can I tell you something? There's not everybody in this room that I'm going to please today. And I am so sorry about that. But when you learn to speak your truth, then what do you let go of? You let go of your need for approval, because your soul, as long as you're in alignment with what your soul is teaching you to do, then it doesn't matter what anybody thinks but you, God, and your soul. So this is what Brené Brown said. Owning our story can be hard, but not nearly as difficult as spending our lives running from it. Embracing our vulnerabilities is risky, but not nearly as dangerous as giving up one love and belonging and joy. The experiences that make us the most vulnerable, those are what makes us strong. And so I chose this particular quote from Dr. Russell Clayton, who wrote The Journey of Awakening. I come with imperfections and impurities, and I am here to transcend them and embrace the God force within me. Can I get an amen? All right. Embrace the God force within me. I'm sure you all say this too, but in New Thought, we say we are co-creators with God. Why do you think we say that? Because we have divine DNA. Our soul is in the image and likeness of God, not our body. And so as we embrace the truth within us, that God is within us, the Christ consciousness is growing day by day. As we embrace our own truth, then we can understand that God does not make junk. God does not make a mistake. He didn't say, oh, I forgot to give that person this quality. Oh, darn, I made a mistake. No. God knows exactly what he's doing when he creates our bodies, our minds, our spirits, our emotions, our thoughts even. And so one of the things I want to invite you to do is that show your scars so that others know they can heal. All right. My first scar was at 3 years old. And this is why I don't usually, those of you that know me, I don't usually wear short sleeves because of the scar that is my whole left arm. When I was 3 years old, I had an accident. I almost lost my arm. And for years, I covered it up. And then all of a sudden, when I was in seminary, I realized this is a battle scar that said to me, I am affirming my life and I'm affirming my power. And even at 3 years old, I am not going to be defeated by something that happened to me physically, even though there was fear all around me when I was 3. I was the first grandchild, the first child in a very large Catholic family. And so I started then to unveil the arm and not sweat in 97-degree weather in long sleeves, so that I would embrace the spirituality of the imperfection that I decided to have when I was 3 years old. I still think about that. I was little Becky then. All right, I had little bangs, long hair in braids. I mean, I did look like Rebecca of Sunnybrook Farm. I will tell you. I admit it. I did. So the thing that we want to embrace is this search for spirituality. Now, if anyone has ever been to an AA group, I believe this is a book that AA uses, the spirituality of imperfection. That's what the title of my talk comes from today. And I really love this quote. And so he says, this is Ernest Kurtz. The search for spirituality is, first of all, a search for reality, honesty, for true speaking and true thinking. At least from the time of the Delphic oracle's first admonition, know thyself, the arch foe of spirituality has been recognized to be denial. Think about that, denial. One of the things that we have to be aware of on our spiritual journey is no matter how much insight we get into why we are here, we do not want to think we have arrived. We are always striving to be the next level of our perfection. What is that saying in the Bible? Be ye perfect, right? That's not to get you and say you have to be perfect. Our Father in heaven is perfect. Our soul is perfect. Our spirit is perfect. Sometimes, though, our personality gets in the way of reflecting that perfection. So we want to look, and he says, the self-deception that rejects self by attempting to repudiate the essential paradox that is our human being. That's what denial of self is all about. And so this is a wonderful book. I encourage you to take a look at it and all the other books that you guys are reading and looking for your own path of spirituality. And this back to Brene Brown. You are imperfect. You are wired for struggle, but you are worthy of love and belonging. Say that last phrase. You are worthy of love and belonging. Have you ever, anyone in here raised Catholic? Okay, so I went to Catholic school, church every day, sometimes twice a day, depending on the season, right? But before we could receive communion, we had to go to confession. And one of the things we had to say right before receiving that communion was, mea culpa, mea maxima culpa, right? But we also said, Lord, I am not worthy to receive you. Only say the words and my soul will be healed. We discussed this a lot in seminary because a lot of us in the seminary I went to were former Catholics. Actually, my advisor had been a nun. And she said, let's rephrase that into new thought ideas. The fact that we are worthy. Lord, I am worthy to receive you. Just say the word, and I am now healed. We learn in new thought to speak in present terms, correct? It's not yesterday or tomorrow. We want to live in the present. And so one of the things, I keep taking these off because I can't see you with them on. So one of the things that I really want to do is look at the fact that this idea that we have grown up with can actually be called a control drama. All right? How many control dramas can you trace in your own life? Okay? Forget you, right? I have no control issues whatsoever. No. And the thing is that the universe, unless we can go through our lives like this with open palm. What does open palm mean to you? Giving and receiving. When you clench, and when do we more often clench our hands? When we're in anger, when we're in fear, we clench everything up. Take a deep breath. Open your heart. When you open your heart, you open your palm. It's all the same meridian. When you give a love offering and you bless it between your palms, you're blessing it with your heart energy, that unconditional giving freely energy. And so one of the things I like to refer to when I talk about control dramas is the Celestine prophecy. And I have to share with you how I came to know the Celestine prophecy. I'm living in Texas at the time, and a friend of mine had just gotten back from a trip to Sedona, where she met with a young author, self-published author named James Redfield. And she brought back with her a shamanic healer. And so I had made an appointment with this healer to have a session. And after I came out of the session, she came and had this paperback book. And she goes, I have been guided to give this to you. And it was a copy of the Celestine prophecy. She says, I feel this is going to be a very important work going forward. I took it home that night and I read the entire book. I didn't go to sleep that night. I read it from cover to cover because it was like, oh my gosh, this is what I'm studying in seminary. This is exactly what we're talking about. And so I'm going to start. I'm not going to go through all 10 today because we don't have time. But what I wanted to do was start with the sixth insight. Our control dramas from our childhood hold us back and must be cleared or transcended. Now, let me ask you something. Have you gotten over your childhood yet? Or do you still go back into that child? Yeah, I know, right? So the idea is look at what your childhood challenges were, okay? Now, I also have had a controlling parent. And I was supposed to be the perfect little Catholic girl. Seen but not heard. Help your brothers. I had 4 brothers. I had to help do their chores so they could get their football practice or whatever, had to clean their bathroom. Oh my gosh. And so these were things that I grew up resenting. So that's why I have someone that cleans my house for me today. Yes, I don't like to clean. It's just ingrained in me. And then, of course, sometimes I manifest situations like now that I can't clean. And so we have to look at that as well. What are we manifesting in our lives that are contributing to our control dramas? Look at your own control dramas. Don't look at anybody else's, because you know what? They're yours too. This is one of the big things that the Celestine prophecy and New Thought talks about is we attract to ourselves the mirrors that we need to learn from and learn through. We grow through these situations. That whole idea of anyone who is feeling low on power or energy to manipulate and steal the energy of another is trying to control you. Are you, though, trying to control other people? And I've got to tell you, I've thought about this as I'm learning to deal with a parent who I'm actually needing to manipulate a little bit for their own good, right? So one of the things I'm learning to do, I haven't learned it yet, but I'm learning to do is before I go in to have interaction with her, I sit in my car and I go through my centering with spirit. And I open my heart and ask for the right words. Does that mean I don't go like this when I'm having the direct contact sometimes? No. Hey, if I were perfect, I wouldn't be standing here right now. I'd be speaking to you through your dreams. So the idea that we attract into our lives these control dramas is very sobering sometimes. Now, I know I'm speaking to the choir here, but I think Sundays are about reminding us what we already know, right? And being in present moment and being able to share with one another the ideas that we've studied for years, some of us. I came to this work when I was 19 years old. I was still in college. And I discovered metaphysics and esoteric stuff, and all kinds of weird things started happening to me. And I thought, well, okay, so what's going on? There's something different. There's something more besides going to church on Sunday and receiving Holy Communion. There's got to be something more than this. And so that's when I started on my path. Gosh, that's a long time ago. But here's Mr. Redfield himself. He said, apparently, before we are born, now this is important to me to understand. Each of us experiences a vision of what our life can be, complete with reflections on our parents. You know, we choose our parents, right? And our tendencies to engage in particular control dramas, even how we might work through these dramas with these parents and go on to be prepared for what we want to accomplish. Now, let me tell you something. I chose this topic. What was it, 2 months ago you called me? I chose this topic for today 2 months ago before I knew we had to quickly move my mother into memory care. Yeah. So it's like, okay, so you manifested the ability to work on the sermon that you had already started working on, or the talk or the lesson, whatever we call it these days, right? And so as I was reading through this, I was thinking about that, because most of us have a dominant control drama in which we engage in automatically. So what is that? It's your instantaneous response to something, isn't it? How you respond to a control drama. Your need, and let me just look at this for a minute. Think about your life for just a minute. Your need to defend and engage in defensive responses with someone means you are caught in a control drama and you will thus react. One of my other control dramas, like is this idea of being accepted. Well, it's actually all the same control drama, being accepted and liked by everybody, right? And allowing myself to be imperfect and yet perfect, and not feeling like after my first talk with y'all, I wanted to run to Pat and I wanted to run to Alan and say, was it okay? Was it okay? Was it okay? And I thought, oh, okay, there's your control drama, isn't it? I went to my friend over there too. And I said, and then all of a sudden that night when I was doing my nightly ritual, I was like, oh, you didn't just do that, did you? Really? You are 60 years old and you are still seeking approval after being a speaker for 25 years? Really? And I thought, yeah, because I'm not done yet. I haven't released that need to be accepted, to be good enough. Oh, I'm sorry, not to be good enough, to be better than who I was before. I have always been that person who wanted to be the best. And if that's not a control drama, I don't know what is, right? But I bet none of you feel that in your life at all, right? No, you don't want to be the best at anything. What is being the best about? How do we get off this merry-go-round? I believe we get off of it by becoming conscious and aware of what's going on around us. And so we look at now the first insight: synchronicities, meaningful coincidences or connected events that cannot be explained by ordinary science, are real, frequent, meaningful, purposeful, and enlivening. Look at your life and look at the coincidences. Now, we know in New Thought, we've heard this before, coincidences are only what? God working behind the scenes. But synchronicities, one of the things I learned about synchronicities is it's you manifesting. That's the physical world showing you what you are manifesting. When you are in alignment with your soul purpose, the synchronicities just pile on. They just go boom, 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 like little dominoes in a row. But as soon as you go into doubt or fear, criticism or judgment, they just kind of line back up and say, we're going to make you try a little bit harder. Let's knock you over the head with a 2x4 and see how you handle that one. But when you're in synchronicity with your soul purpose, you just go straight. Man, there's that first parking place right when you need it. There's this, there's that. this is what my favorite thing is. I still am officiating many weddings. I think I've got 20 in September. And so I'm so grateful. Thank you very much, universe, that I only have 3 in August because it's so hot outside. I had none this weekend. It was like, thank you, Jesus. Really appreciate this because I can't even imagine. Most everybody at this time of year from June through the end of October want their weddings outside. I don't know why. But I'm here to serve and give you your beautiful wedding. But the idea is, I don't think, and I think this is the next one, I don't think anything happens by coincidence. No one is here by accident. You are not here by accident. You sat down with the great is before you were born. I call them the lords of karma, but that's my path. All right. And you decided, okay, I need to work on, or I want to work on this part of my spiritual self. Got to work on my temper. Got to work on my control issues. And I really need to learn about it's not about me, it's about them, right? So as this quote says, I don't think that anything happens by coincidence. No one is here by. Everyone who crosses our path has a message for us. Fortunately, I'm doing a message for you right now, but you have a message for me too, by me just looking around the room and seeing your reactions. Even behind your mask, I can see your reactions. Am I getting to you? Am I not getting to you? Or what? So this is what we have messages from everybody. Otherwise, they would have taken another path or left earlier or later. The other thing about messages that I encourage all of us to remember is that be open and receptive to the message. Because a lot of times when someone tries to give us constructive messages, we'll just put it that way, we kind of go, but again, going back to the open your heart and open your palm, receive. There are so many levels that we receive on, aren't there? And so when someone says and calls you and says, you know, Rebecca, I'm the president of the board and I have to tell you something. And I said, sure, great, Pat, share it with me. And it's okay because we are here to serve one another. And we are here to be able on our spiritual journey to turn on a dime, because we release and let go of our control because spirit is guiding the outcome. And so this leads us to the second insight. Through psycho-spiritual historical reflection, we can live in a longer now and see through our historical, cultural, and conscious fixations. What this means to me is, and I'm sure you've heard this before, whenever you speak or think, guys, it starts with the mind, right? It starts with your thoughts. Is it kind? You know this. You could probably say it with me. So let's say it together. Is it kind? Is it true? Is it necessary? Yeah. This is such a basic unity thought to me. Is it kind? Is it true? Is it necessary? As we even think a thought. And sometimes I am so glad that we're not telepathic yet. Because if people could pick up some of my thoughts sometimes, they just would not like me anymore. But then again, why does it matter? See, this is the circle, the spiral of the spirituality of imperfection, is when we can see what we are thinking and stop ourselves, recalibrate, and get back to our heart. Be ye perfect, sure, but we're not perfect yet. And give yourself a break. Give yourself a break. And so we go to the source, the scriptures. Philippians 4:8. Finally, beloved, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is pleasing, whatever is commendable, if there is any excellence and if there is anything worthy of praise, think about these things. Is it kind? Is it true? Is it necessary? It's right there in the book. But we have to sometimes, and we know this metaphysically, look at the book in a different way. And so we look at the third insight. The world consists of energy that human beings can directly interact with in ways that transcend current scientific understanding. We're seeing that right now as we're going through this chaos that's leading to order. It is leading to order. There's a plan and a purpose behind everything that's going on right now. And now, bless you, I was fortunate years ago when I lived in New York City to go to Unity of New York. We met in Lincoln Center. And, I want to go forward here. Here. And the great Eric Butterworth, would come in for some of the main times of the year, Easter, those kind of things. So I was actually fortunate enough to shake this man's hand. And this is one of my favorite things that he talks about. A true desire is not to have, but to be. We are whole creatures in potential. That's the spirituality there. That's the spirituality. And the true purpose of desire, or a control drama is another way of looking at that, right? Of desire is to unfold that wholeness, to become what we can be. And so we look at, now I have to go back because I got out of sync. We go back to the integration of the third insight. When we realize the world is a field of spiritual energy, which is flexible to our thoughts, our feelings and behaviors. The universe is not dead, uncaring place. It is an energetically connected environment that is divinely constructed to bring our greatest desires into fulfillment. And this is what Mr. Butterworth, Reverend Butterworth, was saying. That desire nature. What is our desire nature? What is it connected to? It's connected to our soul purpose. It's connected to our spirit. Okay, listen to me. I wouldn't have wanted to be an accountant because that wasn't my sole purpose. I became a fashion designer and then a minister. If I thought that I was being called as an accountant, somebody would be in deep trouble because I can't even balance my checkbook. Thank goodness for online banking right now, right? You would not be called to something unless it was part of your sole purpose. Now, let me throw a little wrench into this. Perhaps, though, you think you're being called something because of your ego. Perhaps you're being called to do something so that you can have the opportunity to say, nope, that wasn't the way. We do get that sometimes, don't we? We get called to do something. And instead of saying, let me think about it, we go, oh, yeah, and I had this opportunity right around the time that I graduated from seminary and I decided to leave corporate America. I got a call, and it was right here in Charlotte. I got a call from my headhunter who had got me some of these wonderful jobs. And there was one job I had never managed to get. It was being fashion director for Target International. I had been fashion director for Kmart International, but I hadn't gotten Target. And so I'm going through my closet one day and going through all of my corporate stuff and putting them in boxes to go take to the homeless shelters, whatever. And my person calls and she said, Target wants to talk to you. And I went, really? No. And she said, what do you mean no? She said, you've been talking about this for years. I said, I just decided the other day that I'm going to pursue my ministry. She goes, what? And I said, no. I said, I'm at that point in my life that if I don't do it now, I'm always going to think, what if I had done that? And that was 25 years ago. I haven't starved to death, obviously. I'm still blowing and going, sort of. And so we have to look at when we make a decision, just like the Master Jesus got tempted in the desert. We will get tempted sometimes by our personality and our ego to come off it. and take the easier or the more profitable way out. And so as you progress spiritually, this is another thing that I love from Charles Fillmore. Here is a mental treatment guaranteed to cure every ill that flesh is heir to. And this is how we get out of these control dramas. And this is how we get back synchronized with our soul purpose. To sit for half an hour every night and mentally forgive everyone against whom you have any ill will or antipathy, including you. Don't beat yourself up. That's such a waste of energy, right? So here is, as we go into our meditative moment, I want you to say with me, take a deep breath. Bless you again. I choose to be in my heart now. As I breathe, I flow the light of peace through my entire being. And we go within. Take a breath. Uncross your feet, your arms, your eyes. Close your eyes and focus on your heart for just a moment. Breathing in peace, breathing out love, peace, love, peace, love. And let us think about it's the end of the day. Our day has come to an end, and we are preparing our heart, our mind, our soul for sleep. And we begin to look over our day. And wherever we have seen ourselves respond or react from a place that was not love, we see ourselves acting or responding as spirit would be, as our soul would have us do. So just take a few moments and go over the last few days, last day or so, and where you have responded through fear or anger or ego, judgment or criticism. See yourself responding in love, acceptance, joy. Breathe deeply. Relax into the arms of God. Be still and know. Release and let go. Send that energy of love all around this space, heart to heart, mind to mind. Breathe. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. And so it is. Open your eyes gently. Put your hands together, palm to palm, and look around the room and say to one another, Namaste. Thank you very much.
That was an extraordinary and moving message. Thank you. And now is the time for our offerings, because we practice the principles of circulation and give to those places that are dear to our hearts. It is our opportunity now to support our Unity community as well. This is my church home and yours as well. And so we want to remind you that due to all of the wonderful technology we have in our lives, that we also have a very easy way to give by going to the website and making a contribution to Unity. And also, sometimes I like to do that too. I like to bring my my offering with me to church because it opens my heart a little bit more. And so we thank you for your generosity. The most important thing, though, about this is I thank you for being good to yourself as you practice circulation in however you do it in your soul's progress. And so I invite you to hold whatever you are planning to share in your hand and join with me in our prosperity blessing. Joyously, I give this gift, knowing the divine presence blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God. And now, during this time of offering, our choir will also bless us with thank you for this day. We are going to say the prayer of protection together, a wonderful prayer. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The presence of God affects us, and the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is